savvy, pick up a little bit more grooming for what he hopes will eventually be a title fight against the current middleweight Canadian holder, that is Manny Sobral of Vancouver. They're into the ring. It is Greg Johnson, all set to do battle with another Argentinian by the name of Marcelo Lamadrid. And with the call, Mike Hogan and Spider Jones.
Thank you very much, Vic Rauter. And Greg Johnson from Kitchener comes into this fight at 156 with a 6-2 record, 2 by knockouts. And Spider, what are we looking for from the Kitchener kid tonight?
Well, it's hard to say. His record would indicate that he's not a very good puncher. Hoagie, only 2 knockouts to his credit, but I've seen Greg Johnson from the time he was an amateur. He has some tremendous power, and I was talking with his trainer the other day. What he has to do is sit down more on his punches, but you're going to see probably a chess match the first round, because these guys don't know each other, don't know nothing about one another.
Greg Johnson's nickname is Cool and Deadly. He wears the black shoes. Lamadrid, Marcelo Lamadrid from Argentina, 12-2-3, wears the white shoes. And this is a weird situation for Greg Johnson. Absolutely knew nothing about his opponent until he got into the ring tonight.
Yeah, I understand that the guy he was supposed to fight had a record of 3 wins and no losses. Now he's in against Lamadrid, who is 12-2-3. So obviously a lot more experienced than Greg Johnson. But as they say, Hoagie, what you don't know don't hurt you.
And hopefully it won't tonight for Greg Johnson. Something that he has to work on is developing that killer instinct as he gets his opponent up against the ropes here. Lamadrid fighting in front of the home folk. How important is it, Spider, to get a very big lead early when you're fighting in a foreign country?
Well, you want to go in there and establish some type of control. You want to get this guy's respect. You do that by trying to hit him in the first round and trying to hurt him. And you can see Greg is trying to lay that left hook on him. He's falling short. Lamadrid's a lot taller than him, by the way, Hogan. He's got to get more on the inside to let that left hook do some damage.
Johnson sizing up his opponent, trying to work the body a little bit here, although Lamadrid comes back with an uppercut.
Lamadrid's a pretty smart guy, though. I remember he fought a couple fights ago. I didn't see it, but I was told that he fought a kid by the name of Galarza, who I have seen, and won a decision over him. Galarza, I should say, another Latino fighter, a real good brawler with some pretty good power, so he knows how to survive. After working the body, you saw Johnson a couple of seconds ago come with the overhand right that missed. Not a bad first round. Very well-cut boxers. Look at the muscularity of the 2 fighters in the ring right now. Both of these guys work out a lot, and it shows. Very good conditioned athletes. Yeah, that's right. Both very well cut, tremendous shape, lean. Johnson's always been in great shape. As an amateur, he's a very devoted fighter, runs 4 or 5 miles a day. He fought the last against Derek Coleman in Toronto, and I believe that was in January on the Fight Fest card, so he's in tremendous shape.
Tonight's card of boxing on TSN is brought to you by U.S. Traffic International Transportation and by Molson.
Back to fight between Greg Johnson and Marcelo Lamadrid here on TSN. It is round number 3 of a scheduled 6-round fight. What have you seen so far tonight from Greg Johnson that you like, Spider?
About cool and deadly. That's what he's doing. He's taking his time, and he has to too because of the heat, man. It is hotter than the dragon's tonsils up there. and that takes a lot of audience, an oppressive type of heat. So he's taking his time, and he's showing some nice combination punches there. But this other kid is a pretty good fighter. Lamadrid's a nice fighter himself.
If you are just tuning in, Greg Johnson from Kitchener, 6-2. He's wearing the black shoes, the discernible difference between these 2 fighters because they are basically the same size. Marcelo Lamadrid, who is fighting in front of the home faithful here in Buenos Aires, Argentina, is a fan favorite and is a pretty good boxer himself.
Both good fighters. What I like about Lamadrid is that he's got a nice left jab, nice straight left jab. He's a classic stand-up type of boxer, more like an American boxer in a sense than a Latino fighter. Greg Johnson, on the other hand, he's showing some nice combination punches together. He's getting in nice with the left hooks and coming over top with the right hand.
You can see that Johnson earlier in the fight was trying to work the body. He is still trying to do that, but Lamadrid is a very good defensive fighter, straight up and down, as Spider mentioned. Doesn't give very much to hit, so Greg Johnson, a key to him is by being able to get inside and work the body. He has not established that, and these 2 guys have been pretty even in this fight, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens as a hometown judging card might come in here, so Greg Johnson certainly doesn't have an easy night in front of him.
There's always a question of that when you go into another guy's backyard to fight him, and I mean, this is a little further away than Greg Johnson's backyard in Kitchener, Buenos Aires, Argentina. But nevertheless, Greg Johnson doesn't know this guy's got a lot more experience in him, so that's probably in his favor.
Snaps off the left hook earlier, the left jab there a little bit earlier. A couple of jabs there missed by Lamadrid. 12, 2, and 3 so far as a professional.
Johnson threw a nice right hand to the body there. I think what he's doing a bit, what he has to get out of this, Hoagie, is cut the ring off a bit instead of following him around, step over and
Oh,
ripping.
good combination. Knocks out the mouth guard of Lamadrid as Johnson jumps all over him here in round number 3. The mouth guard is knocked out, Spider. Usually in Canada, you'll see the referee stop the fight and wash down the mouth guard, but they're going to let this thing go here.
That's right, but this isn't North America. This is South America, and of course, we don't know all the rules here, but he caught him with a beautiful left-right combination out with the mouthpiece.
Let's see if he can finish him off here as we get down to the dying seconds of round number 3 here. Johnson has been told to go in for the kill when he sees an opportunity. An absolutely beautiful combination there, but has not been able to follow it up as we close out round number 3.
Yeah, Lamadrid's legs still look pretty strong.
So does Johnson. Very entertaining third round, easily the most entertaining of the fight. We'll go to replay here in a couple of seconds, and we'll get a look at the mouth guard going flying. What a great combination here by Cool and Deadly, Greg Johnson from Kitchener. As they work over the corner here.
You need all that water, boy. I know it's hot in there. It's well over 100 degrees. Not that many people.
Picking up the Argentinian feed, we see that they on their cards have it tied at 29 after 3 rounds. Let's go to it. There it is. He goes to work with the left and the right after working the body, and he's been trying to do that a lot. Finally scores there, and then out comes the mouthpiece. And again, I find it curious that they did not stop the fight, Spider, to get the mouthpiece back in.
Well, he stepped in with a right uppercut, a left hook followed by another short right hand. A beautiful combination by Mr. Cool and Deadly, Greg Johnson. But you know, Lamadrid's got tremendous conditioning. This guy's knees wobbled, but by the end of the fight, by the end of that round, I should say, he was right back on his bicycle, and his legs look pretty strong, his eyes clear, so he's in tremendous shape.
Back for round number 4 here in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Greg Johnson opens up the round with a quick left. Now you're going to see the conditioning come into play here. Luckily, these guys are both in very good shape. It is very humid in Buenos Aires, and it's going to take its toll. It's only a 6-round fight. Stay tuned for the Billy Irwin fight. We'll see how that affects them in a scheduled 10-rounder.
You know, it's a funny thing about, they were telling me, James Jardine, who is, of course, the manager, Billy the Kid Irwin, was telling me that when Greg Johnson got off the plane, the first thing he wanted to do, I mean, after a 4 or 5 hour flight, he wanted to spar. Guess who he sparred with?
Billy?
No, Jorge Castro.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, this guy is a top world contender.
That's great.
He sparred with him, and I understand that he held his own with him. So,
speaking of holding, we're seeing that a lot in the middle of the ring right now. Maybe we're going to see this humidity take its toll on these two boxers. Johnson in the black shoes.
And you got to think, too, Hoagie, maybe perhaps Johnson would feel that fatigue a little bit more coming from Canada, where it's cold this time of year, than Lamadrid, who has been training in Argentina, and he's acclimatized to that hot weather because it is well over 100 degrees.
John, and the humidity as well is going to be a factor. Johnson is certainly going to have to get a little busier if it is indeed tied on the scorer's cards. We're going to have to see him get busy to take this fight away. Anything close is going to go to the hometown fighter. That's no knock against the Canadian. That just happens all over the world.
And I think Johnson's fighting like he's aware of that because he's starting to really he's really starting to apply some pressure now, ripping home that left hook and them right hands to the body. He's got to keep this kind of pressure on him. He's got to get underneath that left jab, and he's throwing some nice combinations.
Sticking and moving, too. He's very good defensively. We have seen that before. His last fight in Toronto against Derek Coleman from the Kronk Gym in Detroit, Michigan. That was a heck of a fight, but we saw as that fight went along, we saw Greg Johnson start to take control. That was a 6-rounder, and we're going to have to see that come up here in the later rounds of this fight, as now he gets Lamadrid against the ropes and goes to work a little bit, but Lamadrid, very, very cognizant of that, gets away from the ropes as soon as possible. But now we'll see if Johnson can cut off the ring and go to work in the corner.
I'm surprised Lamadrid isn't using that left hand to his better. He's got a pretty good left jab, and he's got good lateral movement when he uses it, but he's not using it enough to try to keep Johnson off with that left hand so he doesn't get set, because Johnson's throwing some real good combinations once he gets on the inside, which is quite often.
Lamadrid a little bit taller than Johnson is, a little bit of an advantage in the reach department as well. The arm's a little bit longer. We'll see if he can use it as Johnson now tries to pull him against the ropes. as we have 15 seconds remaining here in the fourth round of a scheduled six-rounder in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now we see Johnson get up against the ropes and go to work with a left and a right. Closing seconds of round number 4. It's a scheduled six-rounder. You are watching it here. Greg Johnson versus Marcelo Lamadrid on TSN. Welcome back to the sixth and final round here on TSN. Greg Johnson taking on Marcelo Lamadrid in Buenos Aires, Argentina. My name is Mike Hogan, along with the boxing prophet Spider Jones. Spider, on our cards, we have it 3-2 right now for Greg Johnson. This is a very key round here. Johnson in the black shoes, Lamadrid in the white.
Close fight, yeah. I thought I'd have one round even, and I would have gave Johnson 4 rounds, personally myself. But pretty close fight. He's got to go out this round and ensure himself a win.
So we'll see if he can get busy and get to work, the nickname Cool and Deadly, and we will see if he can be just that here in the final round. He doesn't need the knockout. He needs to win this round, definitely. We've got him ahead, but again, we don't know what the scorers in Argentina are thinking at this point because they might be willing to give a hometown decision here. So Johnson obviously has to be the aggressor here in the sixth and final round.
You know, a couple things in this fight I'd like to bring to note on Johnson. He's more aggressive this fight than I've seen him in his last 3, and he's sharper. So he's working hard, and he's impressed me this fight even more than his last one.
Comes out very busy here with the left and the right. Neither one really score, but the judges are thinking if it comes down to it, who's going to be the more aggressive fighter. Surprisingly, Marcelo Lamadrid not using the left jab. He's taller, he's got a pretty good jab, but he hasn't snapped one off in quite a while. Misses with one there.
Yeah, he's not using that jab like he should. As I said, he moves, he's got some nice movement, but he's not using that jab to keep Greg Johnson off balance. Before Johnson gets set with that left hook, he's got to get in close. This guy should be slapping with that jab, tying him up in close. He's not doing the things he should be doing because he does have the reach.
But he has been the more aggressive fighter here in this final round. He's snapping off the jabs. He tries a right. That didn't really score at all. A couple of uppercuts here and an overhand right is countered by Lamadrid. Big overhand right there by Johnson. We'll see if Cool and Deadly can raise his record to 7-2.
Johnson just landed a real nice sort of a left jab hook. Snapped Lamadrid's head back.
As we mentioned earlier in this fight, we did expect this to go the distance. Neither one of these guys known for their knockout power. Both pretty good boxers, pretty quick with a right hand there is Greg Johnson.
You know, I saw Lamadrid a moment ago getting that motion again, that move. He moves very well on his legs, got a good set of legs and a good left jab. Geez, perhaps he's not being trained right, or maybe it's the heat. He just wants to preserve his energy, but he's a nice fighter himself.
Well, he's only got both of these guys only have 30 seconds less than it now, as you see on the screen. 21 seconds remain here in the final round, and neither one of these guys are maybe not being let it be known by their corner that they're running out of time. A dozen seconds remaining here in this fight, and this one is going to go to the judges' cards. No idea which way this is going to go. Stay around for the decision here on TSN. An overhand right misses as we close out the fight. An entertaining fight, but boy, I don't know which way this one's going to go, Spider.
You got to say Johnson. I'm the prophet.
You're the prophet, but I'm a little bit nervous because you know what it's like. You go into a foreign country, you go into the guy's backyard, and a lot of times you got to whip him pretty good to get the decision. This was a close fight.
It was a close fight, and if it was in Toronto or Canada, I'd probably say Johnson, but who knows?
I'll give him 4 out of the 6 rounds. I don't know if they'll do likewise down there. Have you got it 4-2 or 5-1?
I've got it 5-1 personally.
Yeah. Very, very close fight. Very entertaining fight as two evenly skilled boxers, two evenly sized boxers go toe-to-toe here in Buenos Aires, and what an entertaining fight it was.
Not a lot of clutching and grabbing either, and that's important.
We're awaiting the referee's decision coming up in a couple of seconds here, hopefully. Let's go to the ring. And Johnson gets the decision. That is great news as Greg Johnson ups his record to 7 wins and 2 losses with just 2 knockouts. Let's go to Vic Rounder.
Back here at the Cabbagetown Boxing Club with Greg Johnson. Congratulations on the win. But this Lamadrid, you had no idea who he was before you stepped in, did you?
No, I was quite surprised. So we didn't know what we were getting into going out there.
Now, is that what you want as a boxer, or would you rather have seen some videotape, had some notes, scouted him out first?
Not necessarily, but necessarily it is good to know sometimes you might be fighting a Mike Tyson.
Yeah, you don't want to fight him considering the way he looked in his last fight. Tell me about what it's like to fight outside this country, in a country such as Argentina where boxing is so revered.
Well, often, quite a lot. My teammates, Billy Irwin and I have traveled a lot to about 30 countries, and we find different styles in opponents.
The Canadian Championship held by the Vancouver fighter Sobel, junior middleweight. Do you want him next?
Definitely. He won't be holding that title too long.
We wish you the best, and we look forward to a possible title shot between you and the champion. Best of luck, Greg.
Thank you very much.
When we come back, it is Billy the Kid as we go back to Buenos Aires as he hooks up with Villalba. Will suggest, hey, that's not much of a professional record. Hey, remember as well, he just turned pro 3 short years ago. So let's go now to Buenos Aires. Billy the Kid looks to win and remain undefeated. Let's rejoin Mike Hogan and Spider Joe.
Thank you very much, Vic Router. A sweltering night in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Let's join the ring announcer for the introduction of Billy the Kid and his opponent.
De la ciudad de Toronto, Canadá, con un peso de 62 kilos, 6'2", campeón canadiense, campeón continental de las Américas, versión del Consejo Mundial de Boxeo, el invicto, Billy el Chico
El Chico.
El Chico, new nickname.
Very nice. Billy even got a kick out of
Listen,
that.
they've taken 3 or 4 years to build this kid's legend up as Billy the Kid Irwin, and now he's El Chico.
provincia de Salta, República Argentina, con un peso de 59 kilos, 700, 700, Manuel Alberto Villalba.
And there is Manuel Villalba, the man that Irwin will be fighting tonight, and a tremendous record on Villalba as well as a couple of good fights against Raul Balbi, for example. This guy has fought quite a few quality opponents. And look at the size of this ring, Spider.
That looks like it's there for a soccer event. I mean, that's a big ring, and it is. That's the biggest ring that Billy the Kid Irwin has ever fought in, and this may work to Villalba's advantage simply because he likes to move a lot more.
Well, look at Villalba go around here. He's on the bicycle already, and Irwin is going to have to cut off the ring at some point if he's going to plan and get some sort of leverage on the punches. Large reach advantage here for Villalba fighting in front of the home countryman. And one thing, Spider, again, we have not seen the knockout power of Billy Irwin in the last 3 fights. Cabato, Rodriguez, and Sanchez all hit the canvas, but none of them were knocked down.
Well, Hoagie, when you move up in opposition, when these guys are much more skilled guys, he's fighting Sanchez. His last fight was a crafty fighter, smart, moves side to side, in and out. Cabada, of course, durable. Nobody had ever stopped him before. And listen to this, Villalba has never been stopped. He's been stopped once on a cut, but never been off his feet in 67 professional fights. What's that tell you?
This guy must think it's a sprint here. He's all over the place. The feet are moving a lot, and there's no way he's going to keep it up for 10 rounds here in this heat and this humidity. He's all over the place. He's going to have to go to work here and start smacking Irwin, and he tries to land the left jab there. It doesn't work. Huge reach advantage here for Villalba.
The same question's got to maybe ask about Billy the Kid Irwin, though. I mean, it's well over 100 degrees in there. Can he continue at a torrid pace through 12 rounds?
He's